Hello, my name is Jamie, and today I am going to be showing you the 6th episode of Create This Book Too, so let's just get right into it. So the first page I'm doing, I guess it's not a page, I'm just so used to saying that. So what I'm first doing is I'm going to be decorating the cover. As you can see, it is already decorated, but it's super faded because I used these alcohol-based markers. So if you see before, it's like super nice and vibrant, but then afterwards, being placed in the sun and generally just out in the open, alcohol markers aren't very light fast, so it started fading, which is really depressing. But that's okay, because we're just gonna paint over it today. So I first started with taking off the tape. This was so hard. Like, maybe it's just because in quarantine my arms have gone really weak. Who am I kidding? My arms are always weak. But like, my weak chicken arms could not do this, and I was struggling so hard. But after I managed to take it off, there's a little bit of this like shiny residue that was left over, but that got covered by the paint, so it was fine. After that, I started painting the orange around the border and then the orange lines. For the border, I wanted there to be a little bit of ombre so that it went from darker to light, because as you can see with the marker, originally I did have that kind of design, so I wanted to keep that. And by the way, I'm just using this cheap acrylic that I got from Dollarama. It's nothing super fancy. I do have like better paints, but I just wanted to get rid of these because I've been holding on to them for like more than 3 years, I think. So I did about 3 to 4 coats on everything. After I did the orange, I started to move on to the turquoise or blue. At first it was really patchy, but after a couple coats it was fine. It was a little bit more gray than I wanted to. I don't know why it turned out so gray, but it just was. After that, I outlined all the orange things in this yellow color. I first started with paint and then I went back in with my Posca just to clean it up and make it a little bit brighter. I think this turned out so cute. I really like the yellow, and I think outlining with color just looks so amazing, so I really like that. So then after that, I outlined the turquoise with a darker blue color. My Posca pens were either too light or too dark, so I just used paint for this one. Because I used paint, it got a little bit too messy, so I had to go back and outline the black logo with Posca pens again, but that was fine. Finally, I started sketching out the back cover. So what I wanted the back cover to be was I wrote out this phrase, be, or what was it again? Was it be chill? Oh, it was bro chill. And then I outlined that a couple of times. So this message isn't to anyone else, it's just for myself, because I get a little bit too uptight about my art sometimes, so it's just reminding me to like bro chill. So yeah, then for the outline I colored it with alternating blue and orange. I wanted it to fade out from the center, so from the center it's a lot darker than it is from the outside. That was intentional. Yeah. Honestly, after that I was getting kind of lazy, so I just outlined the whole thing with yellow. I think the yellow actually turned out really cool. I really like how the yellow looks when it's outlined. I feel like it just brightens up the page a lot. So for the spine, I decided to do an ombre from light blue to dark blue. Nothing super crazy, just a nice little ombre. So for the spine, I wrote Create This Book Too in my terrible cursive. And then I also wrote my name because it's my book. I guess I'm not the author, but I own the book now, so. Finally, I glued on the back cover onto the book. The back cover actually had like a lot of instructions and stuff, but I feel like I didn't really need that, and I thought it would be more fun to cover it up, so that's what I did. And after I glued it on, it was done. So I wanted my new design to be pretty similar to the original, because I feel like the original has become kind of my brand now, and I would just be really sad if I like did something completely different. That saying, I did do something completely different for the back. For the original, I didn't really like the back cover, so I think it was fine to change that. Now I really love the back cover. I feel like the front page is okay. I think the colors did turn out pretty nice. However, I think the turquoise was a little bit too like gray. I still really like it. I think the spine looks really nice. I think the color still turned out pretty good. I think it's a pretty good improvement from the super faded one that I had before. So yeah, that's what I did for the front, spine, and back cover. So the next page says, create a page. Tear a page from an old book or magazine and stick it onto the page. Find a way to make it more interesting. First, on a separate piece of paper, I did some watercolor. Yay! So I first started with a blue background. I did ombre from darker to lighter. Then I cut clouds from an old IKEA magazine. Then I also cut out 2 different colors of these like bushes. One is a darker green and one is a lighter green, obviously. I finally added some extra detail to the clouds because I felt like they were a little bit plain. And yeah, that was it for the background. So then I started sketching a girl. She's just like spinning in a cute dress. And I tried to find a page in a magazine that I thought would be a nice texture, but I couldn't find one, sadly, so I kind of just made my own. I think this is definitely a little bit more on the cheating end of things because the instructions were to take a page from a book and then make it into your own, but I mean, like, I kind of did that for the background, so I was just gonna cheat a little bit for this. I also kind of avoided the instructions again because it says to take it from like 1 page or something, but I just took it from like whatever pages I wanted. It's not like the worst thing I could have done, but I didn't really stay that true to the instructions. So on a separate piece of paper, I created these watercolor washes, and then I added some dots to the blue one. While that was drying, I started to outline the girl. I only outlined the things that I wanted to color in. Then I started to color in the parts that I would not glue paper on top of, which was at first only the skin and the flowers. So I went to my window and I outlined my dress. So I did this on the window because since there's light coming out of the window, I could see through the paper, and so I could outline the dress onto the dotted piece of paper. After that, I cut out the dress. I went back and forth from my desk and my window a lot because I was outlining and then I was cutting and then I was outlining. So next I wanted to make the bow. So I started with this red paper that I had made, and then I went to the window, I outlined it, and then I cut it out and glued it on to the girl. With the same red paper, I also outlined the shoes and the flowers, which I cut and glued onto the page. For the hair, originally I was going to use this brown paper that I had created with my watercolors, but I realized that it just looked really weird when I put it onto her head, so I just decided to scrap that and just color in her hair. Finally, I cut and glued the girl on the background after she was all finished, and yeah, that was the end for the right side of the page, but I still needed to do the left side. So at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit tired of this page because I spent a lot of time on this girl in this background and I was kind of ready to just do something simple and finish. So I started out with sketching these dresses, and then I tried to create a dress out of paper and it did not really work. I think it looked cute, but I think it was just too dark from what I wanted it to look like, so I just scrapped it, which is really sad because I spent a lot of time on it. I then just colored them. I didn't really want to try again because, like I said, I was just feeling a little bit done with the whole page. I created these clouds in a similar way to how I created them before, and I did this to cover up the bleed because if you saw my previous episode, ooh, check the card. In a previous episode, I needed to add some perfume onto a page, and as you can see, it did not go so well. So check out that episode if you want. But yeah, I used the clouds to cover that up since it didn't really cover it up that much because I didn't put it in the right spot. I also cut out the dresses and I glued them onto the page. My final thoughts for this page is I think that the right side of this page turned out really good. I really like the girl in the background and I think it looks pretty good. She's a little bit too low, but it's not anything too major. The left side of this page, that is a big mess. I feel like the placement of the dresses was super weird, and also originally they were supposed to also be like paper cutout, but I was getting way too tired, so they're also like really random. The left side is just kind of a whole mess, but let's just ignore that and focus on the right side. So yeah, that's this page, and so on to the next. So the next page says create colors. Make different colors by mixing paint. Give each color a creative name. So I first started with cleaning my palette because it was super dirty. So I decided to mix everything with green. This is a super weird choice considering that I do not even like the color green, but I decided to anyways because I don't know. So I started to mix the first color, turned it into this very nice lime color, which I think turned out very nice. After that, I taped down the page to make sure that it didn't move when I was filming. I wanted to create these blobs, and a lot of artists have done this before, but it's kind of like an exercise where you create these blobs of paint, and after you've done that, you use your imagination to create something out of the shape of these blobs. So I suck at doing this challenge because I haven't really practiced it a lot and I'm pretty bad at it, so I wanted to practice it a little bit more on this page. So after I had finished creating all the blobs of green, I started sketching. This was very hard and challenging. I know it seems super fast, but that's just because it's sped up. Like, I took a solid like 5 minutes to 10 minutes like thinking about what I would do. But because of editing magic, you don't have to suffer through any of that. But I'm really happy with how a lot of them turned out. Some of them are obviously not as strong as others, but I think they all look very cohesive in the end. After I finished sketching, I started outlining them, and I just used my micron pen plus this like normal black pen that I found. This was a lot of fun. I really like coloring in their hair with this black pen, and I think that turned out really good. After the outline was finished, I started cutting, and then I forgot that I had to write the names, so I started writing the names for them. So basically for this page, I just slapped the color that it was behind what the object that I created into, and then that was my color name. Not super creative or anything, but it's fine, I guess. I didn't create enough of these blob things, so I had like this big white space in between. So what I decided to do there was I decided to list all of the names of the colors. So I numbered everything so you could find it on the list. And finally I wrote it out and then I outlined it. And then as always, I added some extra pizzazz with a green pencil. And so my final thoughts on this are I like it even though I don't like the colors, because even though the colors are all really like bleh, I feel like since I mixed green into all of them, it's still cohesive and it works as a page. And as a whole, I don't hate this page even though I do hate some of the colors. So yeah, that's this episode. As always, my Instagram is @Jellofi, the same as my username. So you can go check me out there if you like digital art. There's 2 videos that you can go check out if you want to, and also my channel if you want to subscribe. So that's it for me. Bye.